Okay. Okay. Go ahead. And we are live? Okay. Roll call, please.
For Joint Conference Committee, noon recess, March 24th. Representative Kenner.
Here.
Representative Larson.
Here.
Representative Schwartz.
Here.
Representative Walters.
Here.
Senator Guru. Senator Hicks.
Here.
Senator Kinski.
Here.
Senator Steinmetz. Chairman Perkins.
Here.
Chairman Nicholas.
Here. So welcome, everybody. This is the second meeting of the Joint Conference Committee, and today we will start working through the Joint Conference Committee report and start trying to finalize this budget. So any introductory remarks, Mr. Co-Chair?
No, Mr. Chairman, we appreciate, we've had a lot of cooperation, a lot of people looking and trying to find ways to do the best thing for the people of the state of Wyoming. And I'm optimistic we can resolve this and do it in a way that we do the most good and least harm.
Okay, Don, any introductory information? Why don't you just tell us what we need to do, kind of lay the background.
Mr. Chairman, I think there is some agreement on a handful of amendments, and then there are some that are pretty similar, like the first two, where they are identical. A motion would be to delete A and adopt B, and I'm not suggesting which one is A and which one is B.
Okay, I would entertain a motion on item number one and number two.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Co-Chair.
Chairman, I made a motion on items number 1 and 2 that we would delete the Senate amendment and adopt the House Second Reading Amendment 26.
There's a motion to delete Senate 301 and to adopt the House position. Any discussion?
A question.
Question being called.
No, it's a procedural. It's a procedural.
I'll remember that.
Remind me of the protocol in JCC. Do we need a second on a motion?
I don't know that we do, but
Mr. Chairman, that is your choice. It does require a majority of both sides.
on both sides.
Okay.
For each one?
For each motion, yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. Any other motion? Let's move to item number 3. And we can, we can break this one down. So
If you want, I was
just go to the easy ones.
Make motions and go through. We had really close identicals and technicals. I would go ahead and knock those out.
All right, I'd entertain a motion on where you'd like to go next.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd look to just moved, I think, to item number 17,
Page.
which is on page 3 of 5. And I believe that we have Senate Amendment 3, 3019. That was items 17 and 18. I believe are the identical except for the dollar sign that had to be technically corrected in the Senate side.
So motion on 17 and 18. Any questions? Is the language different? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I believe on this one, you would want to adopt the House position and delete the Senate position.
Absolutely. That would be my motion to adopt the House amendment and delete the Senate amendment.
A motion to delete the Senate file 3019 as amended and adopt the House position at 3025. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that motion carries.
And then there's another one that's really close to being identical, but I think we'll just wait and do it in time. The 10 million on the carbon capture and sequestration. You want me to go ahead and do that?
Yep,
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I'd take us to items, this would be 34, 35, and 36 in your, on page 5. Thank you.
And the motion is?
My motion is that we, my motion is that we would, we delete the House and adopt the Senate. So we delete the House version and adopt this, delete and further amend the Senate position. And the, and the language that we want to, the language that we, and what we want to do is adopt the, what we want to do is where the Senate amendment approaches the governor's office for a 1-to-1 match. We want, I think we want to adopt the House language to send it to the Wyoming Infrastructure Authority. In fact, Mr. Chairman, if I'm, yes.
So I'll second for discussion. Our inclination was to adopt the Senate's position and have it go to the office of the governor. And then Don, could you fill us in with this?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I think that's right, because then we also added subsections B and C, which also involves the Wyoming Energy Authority to seek applicants. So that's right. I just remembered that incorrectly. So that's correct.
Okay. So it's basically to adopt Senate File 3013 as amended.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was some discussion earlier about needing to add some language for public purpose statements in that. Does this need further amending to add that language?
Don?
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that S3013 incorporates all of the concerns that the attorneys had.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Further
Mr. Chairman?
discussion? Go ahead.
Just want to make sure I'm clear because Chairman Perkins moved and further amended, but I heard you say, Mr. Chairman, co-chairman, that you actually wanted it to go to the governor's office with the Senate language.
That's correct.
So what we are voting on then is S3013 without amendment.
I think that's right. We'll go back and correct that for the record, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the motion then is revised to adopt the Senate Amendment 3013 and delete the House Amendment 2023.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No, that motion carries. Representative Larson.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I think that takes us through most of the identicals.
Please.
One more on 19.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we would adopt the House amendment.
Is your mic on?
Yes. I move that we adopt House 2010.
Is there a second? Moving to second in discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Vice Chair.
so I think I'd like to make an attempt on the Department of Health related amendments in the Joint Conference Committee sheet. And if I might preface that a little bit, we'll make the recommendations off the Joint Conference sheet, and then we have an additional sheet that will reference each of the position too. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, for the public that are watching, as Senator Kinski and I worked on looking at these, we had to bring in the new federal ARPE money and how that impacts what we do in some of these reductions. And so Joint Appropriations Committee have met with Department of Health and others to evaluate and kind of make sure that we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as the good chairman of Senate Appropriations says, making sure we're putting money where it'll be used most appropriately. So this will be taking care of items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And the first one, before we go to that handout sheet, would be to delete number 13, which is Senate Second Reading Amendment 20 as amended. Division 1, I guess, would be the right term. And that's where there was money diverted from the University of Wyoming state plan and put into second reading or step 2 comprehensive waiver.
So you want to work through each step?
Well, this, and if I'm looking at guidance here, I think we can just delete this and then go to our sheet. Michael?
Mr. Chairman, I believe, my understanding was that these were all kind of together, but
Okay.
that is the motion for that. item.
Okay, so thank you for the correction. So then, committee members, if you would go to your sheet and look at this, we're going to start on item 2, and we're going to adopt the House position on step 3 reductions to dental coverage on Medicaid requirements. On item number 3, we'll adopt the House position per guidance from the ARP on the vision coverage for adults on Medicaid. Item 4, we'll adopt the House position per the ARP requirements to on rebasing the IBA on the comprehensive waiver. That will go, the step 3 will go back in. And likewise on step 5 on freezing the DD wait list, it will go to the House position per the ARP Act requirements.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
if I may, I'm not sure, Representative Larson, I'm not sure why we're talking about the ARP. We're just settling
Fair enough. My language, we adopt the House position. Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. On item 6, we adopt House position on the support services like occupational therapy, physical therapy. We adopt the House position. On item 7, and this is shifting gears to Department of Family Services, we lower reductions to foster care from 6% to 3%. On item 8, still in DFS, we reduce the 6% reduction for adoption and guardianship payments from 6% to 3%. On item 9, we reduce the 6% reduction on group homes from 6% to 3%. On item 10, we reduce the 6% reduction on residential treatment centers from 6% to 3%. On item 11, on the Wyoming Home Services Program, we adopt the Senate position of restoring that step 3 at 1.3 million. On item 12, we adopt the House position in restoring the Children's Mental Health Waiver Program and Care Management Entity. On item 13, we adopt House position on the 2.5% step 3 reduction on all noted provider types. On item 14, we adopt the House position on the freeze for the Extraordinary Care Committee for the support and comprehensive waivers. Item 15, we adopt the Senate position and eliminate the restoration for the YVIP, that's the immunization program. And then likewise on item 16, we adopt the Senate position and eliminate the chiropractic as covered with Medicaid benefit. On line 17, we adopt the Senate position of eliminating the Community Juvenile Justice Service funding. That was a step 2 reduction that the House put back in, and we went with the Senate's position. On item 18, this was third reading. HB0009, I believe Larson Amendment to restore funds for the Children's Special Health Center. We take the Senate's position and eliminate that. Then on item 19, we deny the Senate position on step 2, restorations for the comprehensive waiver homemaker wait list process changing. That was the one we was referring to. And so I believe, Michael, if I can get confirmation that we've covered them all.
Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
And so Don, in terms of crafting the motion, do we need particular language for it, or is that sufficient?
Mr. Chairman, if I might restate using your large summary sheet. Item number 12 is a delete and further amend. That's House Second Reading Amendment number 35. And the amendment is as stated by Representative Larson. Item number 13, which is Senate Second Reading Amendment number 20, Division 1, AC is deleted. Senate Third Reading Amendment number 8. Item number 14 on the top of page 3 is deleted. Item number 15, House Second Reading Amendment number 9 is deleted. And item number 16, Senate Third Reading Amendment number 7 is a delete and further amend. Adopt, let's go with adopt.
Adopt and further amend?
No, just a straight adopt,
Oh, just a straight adopt, okay.
right? We'll take that out of the House position and put it entirely in the Senate. That's
Thank
fine.
you. And Mr. Chairman, did you say item number 14, which was Senate Third Reading Amendment number 8, was a delete? Okay.
Correct. I do have 2 questions because there was some mix of funds. The restoration could come from either the general fund or the Legislative Stabilization Reserve account funds. There was some difference between the 2 sides. Does your motion contemplate one or the other?
LSRA.
And then secondly, Mr. Chairman,
So explain that just so everyone knows.
Just, yeah, let's back up on that one just a little bit and explain. The source of the fund is, you said was LSRA, where before in the, Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I ask this question?
General fund.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, and my recollection was that both the source for the money that the Senate was adding back was, one of them was out of general fund. It was actually a change, a swap basically with University of Minnesota out of general fund, but the other one was out, it was also out of LSR. Does I remember that right? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
Well, and we don't have a particular preference on where it comes from. So,
And if I may, Mr. We were talking about this overall, and it may help us, but I was thinking that what I think our preference to guide would be that when we do things, and it doesn't necessarily apply to this, but I think that we want to spend SIPA money. And then I would think we would, and then after SIPA, as long as it's appropriate, it's obviously all within reason, SIPA, and then, I think to some degree, general fund, if it's available or not, if we're concerned about that, then we do LSRA. It's just a general guiding principle.
and what amount are we talking about?
Mr. Chairman, it's approximately $13 million. At the end of the day, this would come out of the LSRA one way or the other, because it would either effectuate the budget balancer, in which case there would be a transfer, or there would be a direct appropriation.
So there's no, it's going to happen one way or the other because it's big enough.
Big enough number.
Big enough number. So we might as well just, but if we take it LSRA now, or do we have, I guess we don't know yet. I don't know. Mr. Chairman, if we could, I'd like them to kind of keep a running tally on SIPA just to make
Well,
sure.
yeah, and so what we can do is come back to this
Yeah,
and
okay.
reevaluate the funding source.
Okay, fair enough.
Just leave that.
Yeah, so I'm
we can have that discussion.
right. So I'm fine. I think we're fine with leaving it LSRA for now. But
Mr. Chairman, if we're done with that discussion, I've got another.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I'm worried about is the language. Do we include this, that the agency does not include this in their biennial budget? And particularly if we're using LSRA, it looks to me like that's a one-time funding. So have we agreed conceptually that this is one-time funding, will not be presented in the agency
Yeah,
standard
it would have
budget?
to be an exception request. I think
All right, I just want to make sure that's in
I think we're in concurrence with
the language that we adopt.
Okay.
All right.
Just,
And Mr. Chairman, Co-Chair, I think there's a couple of places where the language, we're directing the agency to bring it back as a supplemental request. Is that language staying?
yes. It may be redundant, but that's all right.
Well, could we just repeat it then?
Well, I think we'll repeat it at the end of the motion.
We really mean it.
Yeah. We really need it. Okay,
And Mr. Co-Chair, I just want to clarify, Representative Larson on page 2, item 13. I had a bit of trouble tracking what you were saying about the, you were deleting the second part of that, but not the first part. Is that correct?
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and Senator Kinski, I think the confusion was on my part, and what I understand from Michael is everything required for that deletion was included in the summary that we talked about.
Okay.
is that correct, Michael?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct. The confusion for second reading, Senate second reading 2020 Division 1 was the removal from the UW, and my understanding was that was not part of this motion, so that's why that amendment is deleted.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, just want to make
Have we
sure we're
finished
all on
the
the
motion?
same page there.
So,
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Co-Chair. So the net of it is that the Senate and the House each step back to the tune of about $4.9 million to arrive in the middle.
Well, I appreciate that. So the total numbers then is roughly 12.5 million.
12.1.
12.1. Representative Schwartz, just 1 second, Michael.
Thank you. I just want to get clarification on item number 12 on the JCC sheet, page 38, aging, which is line 11 on the health sheet. Just clarification on what that number is.
Is this the WISE, Mr. Co-Chair, is this the WISE program?
The YVIP,
It's the home services.
and the
So,
question again, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Co-Chair,
Go ahead.
the net is adoption, we're putting back $1.476 million out of the reduction. So step 3 eliminated all funding, and this restores $1,476,000.
Michael?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it's the line above that. It's 1.37.
Oop. Yeah, I'm on children's mental health waiver.
Further questions,
There we go.
Mr. Chairman?
And Mr. Chairman,
please?
I mean, it's not necessarily true because not all these programs, but when in terms of the numbers we've been talking about, most of those we've been talking about general fund dollars. And so we're all applicable, where it's all applicable, that will double. So we put back, there's the federal side too. So we're actually putting, in many of these instances, we're twice as much money will go back as we discussed today. I just want to make that.
The ones- Michael?
Mr. Chairman, the only other question I believe I have, and Don can correct me, is whether we're addressing anything with the ARP in footnotes or language.
So,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, so as part of this motion, I think we have an amendment to the footnote, and this comes back to the discussion we heard with the Department of Health on giving them some direction and proposal. And you'll see that that's both to the Department of Health and Department of Family Services. I think Senator Kinski, you give that to us this morning. And do we want to include that in this motion?
Michael, do you have more of those?
Mr. Co-Chair, with all due respect, I guess I would ask if we can vote on the dollar amounts and then circle back to the footnote.
Sure.
Perfect.
Fair enough. Further questions on the amendment? Senator Greer.
Don, back on the JCC sheet, page 2, number 12. We're adopting further amending, we're deleting and further amending. I got it wrong. I don't know. I think I have it wrong. Just want to make sure I have it. Where are you? Page 2, number 12 on the JCC sheet.
Go ahead, Don.
Yes, it is delete and further amend. There are really three options in a JCC. You can adopt, delete, or delete and further amend.
Thank you. We're just,
So walk us through what's adopted and further amended one more time, just so we're clear.
Sure. On the summary sheet, item number 12 is a delete and further amend. Item number 13 is a delete. Item number 14, top of page 3, is delete. Item number 15, delete. Item number 16, adopt.
Further questions? Everyone understand the motion?
Are you comfortable? Do you want to huddle on this for a minute, Mr. Chairman, if we may? Do you want to huddle on some minute, or are you comfortable with the vote? Comfortable with the vote? Okay, we're ready to vote, yeah.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, Senator Kinski.
Thank you, Representative Larson. It's a pleasure having breakfast with you.
Okay, we have a
Going over
motion.
spreadsheets.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Representative Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion in item number 3 on page 1.
Number 3, page 1. So everyone go there.
And Mr. Chairman, if it's agreeable to the chairman and the co-chairman, I'd like to break this amendment up in a few different locations. And so in the motion that I would like to make is that we would accept the Senate's position on the actions taken in the governor's office to restore $30,000 general fund. I would like to make in this motion, accept the Senate's position in the Department of Education for the Talking Books program to reduce $70,000. In this motion, I would like to accept the Senate's position in the reduction of $72,922 for the Department of Agriculture. And I would like to accept and further amend the Senate's position for $108,000 in the Community College Commission for the one position and changing that one position's funding to general fund.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
just to make sure I'm tracking on that community college on the SLED's administration, was that the one that did you take the funding or?
Mr. Chairman, I leave the funding in place, simply making sure that it's general fund.
Oh,
going
general
forward.
fund. Thank you. That's what I missed. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I would then, as part of this motion, in Agency 007, the Wyoming Military Department, not accept the Senate's position and leave it as it came out of JAC and include the $150,000 for the Veterans Museum, as well as the footnote in the Parks and Cultural Resource Division and the Military Department Division with the footnote. So that would end the motion, Mr. Chairman.
So question on that, to further understand the Veterans Services issue, how does this affect their overall funding and can you just give us a background on the costs before and after the budget?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The biennial budget for this division within the military department is about $530,000. The proposal was to completely eliminate the unit, or the funding for the unit, excuse me, or the second half of the funding, to be more precise, and then not carry it forward, so it would be eliminated going forward. So that's at the $150,000 for the second half of the biennium. That would biennialize to $300,000, so it's about a 40% reduction approximate there to what the budget would have been. So it's still a cost savings. And then by incorporating the footnotes to get some conjunction and collaboration between state parks and military department, I think the museum can operate on a more efficient basis. And that was the whole genesis behind the action.
Everyone understand the motion?
I'd appreciate it if somebody top line it and back down and just review it very quickly.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So the governor's office, $30,000 increase, except the Senate's position. In the military department, basically accept the House position, which is not accept the Senate. So the 150 for the military department, plus the footnotes for the military department and Parks and Cultural Resources would stay in place. The Community College Commission for $108,000 and change. We would accept the Senate, it would accept the Senate's position and convert that funding to general fund. And on the Department of Education, the Talking Books program for $70,000, we would accept the Senate's position of removing that amount. That's the proposal in the amendment.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
I thought you also talked about the Department of Ag.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I did, and I apologize for skipping over that as I was reading through this. The $72,922 in Department of Ag is included in that to accept the Senate's position of removing that funding.
So in essence, you're compromising, taking certain House positions and comparable financial issues, accepting the Senate's position. Is that fair?
Mr. Chairman, that's the attempt, yes, sir.
Okay, everyone understand the motion?
So, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to just go huddle about this really quick.
Okay, please do.
All right, well, if you excuse us, we'll just step into the side room over here for a minute.
On that step 3 that they put back in, which is 1.5.
Mr. Co-Chair. Go ahead, please.
I would move to further amend the amendment. And that amendment would go in on the Wyoming Military Department, authorize the $150,000 for one time. They would have to then come back for an exception request in their budget to proceed. We would then recede from the Senate's position on the Department of Education, restored the $70,000 to the talking books. And then we would further amend to adopt the Senate amendment on the Casper office building and have a reduction of $20,000. Mr. Chairman, that's already in the CapCon bill. And so we would delete that from the budget. That
Delete
would
the
be an
20,000.
amendment to the amendment.
Did the amendment.
Okay, can everyone understand the motion? The amendment to the amendment? We should do it one more time, just so we understand it.
All right.
What we ought to do is combine them so we know what they are together.
Well, I only know my half.
So,
Mr.
So let me
Chairman,
see if I can reiterate.
okay.
So as presented, I believe, and Representative Walters, please correct me if I get it. So the amendment would read to adopt the Senate's position in the office of the governor and increase $30,000 to the 200 series. The next one would be go down to page 13, the Wyoming Military Department for Veteran Services. The Senate would recede from that and adopt put the $150,000 in there with the language that it was one time and that they would have to come back as an exception request to their budget for that to go forward. The next component would be to adopt the Senate's position of the Wyoming Department of Agriculture Consumer Protection Division. The next one would be to adopt the Senate's position regarding the Community College Commission, but move that funding source back to general fund. The next item would be the Senate would recede from the Department of Education and restore the $70,000 to the Talking Books program. And then the last one is we would adopt the Senate amendment for the Casper office building that would reduce that by $20,000.
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
just for clarification on the military department and the Veterans Museum, the language about partnering with state parks and cultural resources stays in, as well as the language in state parks, just as is. That all stays in place, correct,
Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I think on the community college administration where we're putting that, we're moving that to general funds, right? Yeah. And I think that was in both amendments. Okay.
Okay, further, any questions about what the amendment to the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment to the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. We're back on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment as amended?
Question.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries. Representative Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On item number 5, I would move that we delete the House third reading amendment number 1.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Any other further amendments?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
on page 2, item number 6. Want to do that? All right. Mr. Chairman, I withdraw that.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if you could. Give me just 1 second. Mr. Chairman, I would ask you to consider the the following, that what we would do on item number 6, the law office, is that we would adopt the House position of the two positions. This is the two people back. This is the two folks back in the Attorney General's office. That we would recede or delete this on item number 7 regarding state parks and cultural resources, which added footnote 9. That we would then adopt on item number 8, 3, which is House Amendment 30 Amendment 4 in State Parks and Cultural Resources. Excuse me. We would we would adopt the first part of that, which is the decrease of the 16,755 general fund, but would delete the second part of that, which is increases the general fund. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Adopt the House position that with the exception we delete. I guess we delete and further amend that we would the amendment would be on the language. That just at the end of that note, what the language that requires, and the division shall not include less than 50 authorized positions. So just delete that language from the footnote. And then we would also, we would adopt, we would delete, item number 9, which is the movement of the 637, so the in-stream division, the 632,000 and change from Water 1, leave it where it is. And then additionally, on the next two, and then we would adopt the Senate position on the geological survey and delete, we delete the language on the geological survey, and then from the Senate side, and then we would delete and further amend item 11 on the geological survey to leave the footnotes, but strip the money.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat what we're doing on 10 and 11 with geological survey?
Geological survey, we're leaving them. We both had footnotes in there that wanted both the rare earth minerals and the hydrogen investigated. We're leaving that in, but we're not restoring the $130,000 and the position.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
question on item 8. Did you keep the position and just not fund it?
No, we kept the only thing we did was change the language on the footnote regarding that the division shall include not less than 50 authorized employees.
Okay, so the funding and the 1 FTE stays in, we just delete that language.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Does everyone understand the motion?
So do we call that adopt and further amend or delete and further amend?
I don't think there is such a thing as adopt and further amend.
In Larson's world, there is.
All those in favor of having adopt and further amend be ever no.
Can I amend that?
It is. There's not.
Okay, do we want to take a quick minute on this one?
I believe so.
Okay. We'll take a short break. Sure. Is there room in your room? Okay, I think we have a amendment to the amendment. Mr. Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to add on to that amendment, if I could, that the House would adopt or would propose adopting number 21, Senate second reading number 18. Number 21, page 3 of 5. Mr. Chairman, number 21 on page 3 of 5, Senate second reading number 18. We would propose to adopt the Senate position on that. And then, Mr. Chairman, if we go back to page 1 in second reading amendment 21.01 for the section 300s in school capital construction, we would propose, just to make it so you understand what we'd like to do, we would like to fund $10.7 million of SIPA towards those two projects. So those two projects would stay in the school capital construction budget fully funded. That's the proposal. I can tell you exactly how that works if you say it's don't accept the Senate's number 96 and 99, or pages 96 and 99 there on page 1. But in essence, what it does is it puts the funding back in the school capital construction budget for the high school auditorium in Fremont County, as well as the planning for Washakie number 2 K-12 school. And additionally, Mr. Chairman, we would delete item number 4, the House second reading amendment number 1 in the state treasurer's office.
Okay, does everyone understand the amendment to the amendment?
Do you want to take a vote, or do you want, I guess we have a member, we can't have more than that, right?
That's correct. Unless it's a friendly amendment.
I don't think you'll find it
Only one.
I'm still trying to get you adopted for the amend.
Mr. Chairman,
That's Lander man.
Mr. Co-Chair, can
Please,
we go over it one more time, please?
go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, with the complete amendment, just top to bottom, and this would include what was proposed from the Senate side as well as the additional proposals from the Senate or from the House, starts on page 1. The 10.7 million would go back into the school capital construction budget for those two projects. And I'm just going to summarize some of this for simplicity's sake. Item number 4 on that page 1, the House, that would be deleted. Then we would move on to item number 6, and this was in the Senate proposal to accept the House position. In the Senate's original proposal on item number 7 would be to delete. On the Senate's proposal, item number 8, it would be a delete and further amend. And that further amendment is the deletion of some of the language on that footnote, including the division shall not include, if my understanding was correct, of that Senate proposal. Moving on down.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, it's delete and further amend on number 8, because you wanted to, this was the Senate's proposal to change that footnote language. So it is adopted, but it has to be deleted, further amend to change the language. So and that's what was proposed by our good Senate counterparts. I'm just trying to summarize what that proposal was.
Remove that thing.
So number 8 was a delete and further amend, which is essentially an adopt and amend.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
But I'm trying to be proper when I do this. So it's delete and further amend to get the language out, but it's what the Senate proposed originally. Then on number 9, it would be to delete that third reading amendment number 14. On number 10 and 11 collectively, I'm just going to summarize this to say the footnote would go forward and it would include hydrogen for those projects, but the funding would be gone. So that's just a summary of the concept.
Mr. Chairman, just to simplify that, that would be an adopt Senate item number 10 and delete item number 11.
And then I thought there was more to it. I thought there was,
Mr. Chairman, I am not quite done with my summary. So that was on 10 and 11. So as we were just clarified, it would just 10 we would adopt, 11 we would delete. That leaves us in the same place as originally proposed. And then, Mr. Chairman, moving on to page 3, item number 21, we would adopt the Senate second reading amendment number 18. And that is the entirety of the two motions combined in summary.
Did you cover Senate number 4?
You got it.
Page 1.
Mr. Richards has.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Walters, on item number 21, page 3, just because the committee discussed this previously, would you be amenable to striking the Bridger Teton language from that amendment?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with that if the Senate's agreeable.
You know, we might have a counter offer for you here in just a second.
I hope Don can track everything we're doing.
Yes, sir. Would you, hey, turn off your mic so the rest of the world. Well, your mic's still on. Mr. Chairman, so we got a counter, it may or may not be a friendly amendment, so we'll offer it to you, and then you can decide whether it's a friendly amendment or not. The differences with the additions that the good Representative Walters, it was just, the good Representative Walters made, the exception we would make is we would go ahead and agree to the funding of the 10 Sleep School with general fund or SIPA, which, whatever's available. On the Fremont, we would be willing to authorize Fremont, but ultimately that funding would be that would be move a capital project in the ARP so that they can go ahead and authorize it. And if they get the money, they get the application for the ARP, they can charge ahead. And then in addition, since we were dealing with state lands and investments, we went to item 22, that we would adopt the House position of the 500,000 for reinserts the money for weed and pest and noxious weeds on state lands.
And the one question about our original amendment on Senate Second Reading Amendment number 18.
Which item are we on?
This is the 325, item 21.
Okay.
That number, the 325 went up when we added the Teton component to it. I believe it was originally 250, is that right? So I think we would want to move that back down to 250 since we're modifying the language. Okay, I think we probably need to have a discussion on your counter proposal.
Okay, you want to,
We'll probably do one more. Let's see.
okay, let's
Let's
see.
see how quickly we can do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, no, it's all been friendly.
Oh, a friendly amendment to the amendment.
All been friendly.
So Don, could you walk us through what you think the amendment and the amendment to the amendment are?
Mr. Chairman, starting on page 1, item number 3, budget bill, page 96 and 99. There's agreement to restore funding for Washakie County School District number 2, the 10 sleep, for $2.5 million, and authorize Fremont County School District to use American Rescue Plan funding.
So we authorize the project and to include, I would think it would say, right?
Correct. They would have to apply.
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Don, how would those numbers break out then from the 10.7?
I believe it would be, and I'm rounding here, but I believe it's $2.5 million, which would come out of S6, School Capital Construction account, and ultimately the SIPA funds would be transferred to support that.
So would it be simpler just to have it come out of SIPA?
Well, it has to transfer over to.
Mr. Chairman, yeah.
No, just to do it, okay.
And then the 8.2 million for Fremont County School District number 25 would be federal funds.
And so, Mr. Chairman,
Or other funds, if we just authorize it.
yeah, I mean, we need to have some in language that makes sure that's permissive, because we really, you've got this other, I don't know how you do it, other funds or federal funds, but however you would, we have to make sure that the language is clear on that, expansive enough.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, and we can footnote that. We've been working on some items on the CapCon bill where we have a standard footnote for the ARP funds.
Working on that now.
Okay,
Item number 4 is a delete. Page 2, item number 6, adopt. Item number 7. Item number 6 is adopt. Item number 7 is delete. Item number 8 is delete and further amend, retaining all of the funding and all of the footnote with the exception of the direction on the 50 authorized employees.
Okay.
Item number 9 is delete. Item number 10 is adopt. Item number 11 is delete. Page 3 at the bottom, item number 21 is delete and further amend, reducing the appropriation from $325,000 to $250,000 and modifying the footnote to remove Teton National Park. Item number 22 is adopt.
I thought there was one more in there. It was adopt. Do we find it?
Mr. Chairman, were you thinking about this, but that's just a fun thing. You thinking about-
Well, I thought, didn't we address that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
That was a delete.
right. Oh, you covered that. All right.
Yeah, he did.
All right.
He was referring to
Number 4.
item 4, which is a delete.
Does everyone understand the amendment? Everyone understand the amendment? Are we ready to vote?
Question.
Question being called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries.
It's 1:50. You want to go catch your breath before we start for the afternoon session?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
We probably should wrap this up pretty quick. Okay.
guys' one?